Hello, I'm Jonathan Dunsky, author of the Adam Lapid mysteries. On this channel, I talk about crime fiction that I read and enjoyed, and today I'd like to tell you about Faceless Killers by Henning Mankell. Faceless Killers is book one in the Kurt Wallander series. Wallander is a Swedish police detective who works in the city of Ystad and its surrounding area. And in this book, Wallander is put in charge of an investigation into a double murder. An elderly couple living in a farm somewhere in the area of Ystad have been brutally murdered, even tortured before they were murdered by assailants unknown. The man died in his home. The wife, the woman, was found on the brink of death, taken to hospital, and there she dies as well. But before she dies, she's able to say one word that may be a clue to the identity of the killers. And the word that she says is foreign. And Wallander and his team, the other officers with whom he works, take this word to mean that the murderers were not native Swedes, but were foreigners, people who have immigrated to Sweden. And in that time, and until today as well, Sweden has allowed many immigrants into their country, people from war-torn areas and from places where basically they're in need of asylum. And so the novel also deals with Sweden's, let's say, permissive or lax immigration policies and the attitudes of the local population to the new immigrants, to these policies, and to the changes that these policies have caused in Sweden. And this is a hot topic even today, 30 years after the book was published in Sweden, and it has affected Sweden's internal politics in a fundamental way. So Wallander has this single clue, foreign, and he's very worried that this detail will leak out to the press, which it does. And once it happens, there is a great outbreak of anger and hatred towards immigrants in that area. And immigrants, some of them lived in sort of refugee, not really camps, but sort of areas provided by the government for newly arrived refugees. And there are many anti-immigrant groups who are incensed by this, by the knowledge that this Swedish couple, this elderly Swedish couple, was brutally murdered by people who they assume belong to this immigrant population. In addition to the investigation, Wallander has a lot of other challenges in his life. He is middle-aged. His wife has recently left him. His father, who lives nearby, is sort of sliding into dementia, and his father is sort of him and Wallander, they don't get along. His father never really liked the fact that Wallander became a policeman, and they have a very strained relationship, but Wallander still needs to care for him because he is his father. Wallander also has a daughter, and his relationship with her is also strained. His daughter basically moves around a lot. He has very little contact with her. She can sort of drift into his life for a few days or call him on the telephone and then sort of disappear. And he's very worried about her, and he doesn't know, or he feels like he's not involved in her life as much as he should. in addition to that, he feels that he is drinking too much, he's eating badly, he has put on weight, and his emotional state is very shaky. He sort of drifts into depression, in and out of it. He falls in love or becomes infatuated with a new local prosecutor who is married, and he sort of makes a fool of himself in the process. And so he has a lot on his plate. The book is a police procedural. Wallander doesn't work alone. He has a number of other officers working with him. The main one, the character that I liked most, is a police officer by the name of Rydberg, who has many years of experience, and he is not actually Wallander's partner. He is more of a sort of friend slash mentor, and he has a lot of insight as to the case, and he was a character that I enjoyed meeting and reading about. And there are a number of other officers, all of whom are portrayed differently, uniquely, and so the book is rather interesting in its cast of characters. So, like all police procedurals, the case proceeds at sort of a steady pace. Sometimes Wallander seems to be on the verge of a breakthrough, and then it turns out that he was heading in the wrong direction. And he is not the sort of detective like Sherlock Holmes who has, outbursts of great inspiration or insight. He's just a cop doing his job, going methodically through his investigation, step by step, trying one avenue or following a particular lead, and then reaching a dead end, backtracking and going in another direction. The case was interesting. I found it rather intriguing, and I also enjoyed feeling like I had traveled to another place, to Sweden, and another time, and learning more about Swedish society at the time that the book was published. Wallander himself is interesting because he is by nature liberal, but he is also worried about the changes that he sees in Sweden. As a police officer, he sees that crime in Sweden has become not only more prevalent, but much more dangerous and violent, and he is worried by where things may be headed in the future. And he also is of, let's say, two minds when it comes to immigration, because he knows that some of this change in the nature of crime in Sweden is because of the new immigrants. So this is an interesting book, well written, with very interesting characters, and the case is intriguing as well. I enjoyed it a lot. I read 3 Wallander novels, books 1, 2, and 3, and this is the book that I enjoyed the most out of the 3. I recommend it if you are interested in Swedish or Scandinavian crime fiction. This is one of the characters and series and books that have really led to the rise of Scandinavian crime fiction. So check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below to where you can buy a copy of the book. And until next time, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.